Greetings and salutations. Today's video will be a build-off of a previous video where I used PowerShell and Task Scheduler to detect when a service fails and automatically restart the service. This video will build upon that script and add in where we grab some logs and email it to a defined mailbox. This previous video will be left in the description. Follow along and let's begin. So this is how we started out with our code. We have our functions defined here and our array of services specified here. Then we would cycle through each service and run our check service function. Let's see what that does. Our check service function takes in a parameter service name and retrieves the current status of it, whether it is running or not. If it's not running, we start the service and output some text. And if it is running, we just output text. Our reboot server function just rechecks if the service is running. If it's not running, then we issue a restart computer command to reboot it. So we pass a defined array of services, and for each service in services, we run our function check service, which will attempt to start the service not running. And then we have another key service that does the same thing that issues a reboot command. So we don't need that function at all, so let's just take it out. So our task at hand now is to send an email when the service stops and capture the logs from that point, and let's say 2 minutes prior to that point. Okay, so let's get our start time and end time. We can define our variables, our end time first, which will be the current time this script kicks off. We get that by just running the getDate command with my desired format. Then our start time would be 2 minutes prior to the current time. So we capture that with this line of code. So we're going to first check our service. So let's alter our check service function, where it literally just checks whether the service is running and returns true or false. I don't want it to attempt to start the service just yet. So we take our parameter here and retrieve our service status in this variable. So take this out. And if our service status is equal to running, we're going to set our status to be equal to true. Otherwise, status is equal to false. And then just return our status. So this will just return true or false depending if the service is running or not. Okay, great. This is our check service function. Okay, so now let's get the logs. After starting the service, we will define a function called getLogs, and this is how it looks. Okay, let's have a deeper look. So we have two mandatory parameters, which is our start time and end time, defined as start and end, because we want logs between a specific time period. The event logs we will target are defined here and will be application, system, and security, and you can add any other Windows logs here. Our text file will be defined and located in our output file path variable here. are operation logs defined in this variable, where we list each log on the local host computer where it actually has logs, and the event logs we want, as defined earlier, is contained in the log name. We use the get when event. Now, we cycle through each of these logs and we can capture how far along it is in processing. Our I variable is used to help us to determine this. This is not really needed since we are automating this and we won't see this information anyway, but I wanted to show you how it can be done. So we get the logs for that particular log using get events log and use the before and after filter to get logs within our time period. We zone in on the time, source, event ID, message, and entry type for each particular log and output it to our file. And we repeat this in our loop for all logs. So this is our get logs function. So in the event our service is not started, we start the service and get our logs with our start time and end time specified. And of course, we need to define these variables prior to calling it. Now, let's define our send email function. So we will add our send email function. So here we define our SMTP server, our port, username and password. Then we specify our from address, our to address, the subject and the body of the text. We defined our attachment path where we know our file will be created and saved. We define our credentials with this line, specifying our username and password. Then we actually call the send mail message function where we call all our variables as well as our attachment variable here. So we package it up nicely here in a function called send email. So then we just call our send email function. Okay, we have our functions. We get our start and end times. We have an array of services where we want to check, and for each service in services, we check if our service is running. If it isn't, start the service, get the logs, then we want to send our email, which will contain our log as an attachment. So this is our code, 4 functions with a few lines of code. Let's manually test this out. My service is running. So pretty much this should do nothing. Let's run it. And it completed and did nothing. Now let's open up our services and change some stuff. Set it to manual and stop it. Now our spooler is off. Let's run this. Okay, our service is now started. Let's see if any logs are created. Let's open it up. And in here, it should capture the spooler was stopped and it changed from auto start to manual. Right here. Okay, great. Let's check our email. And this is the email that came in. You can see how it's formatted and it contains this attachment. And if we open it up, you will see the same file and content as the logs on our server. Okay, great. And then, as shown in my previous video, we would configure Task Scheduler to kick off the script and when there is an event that the target service has stopped. That would launch the script that would confirm the service has stopped and start the service again. Then gather the logs up to 2 minutes in the past, then send those logs to an email address. And that's it. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Brought to you by AIP Solutions.